Tonight with what is going to happen to U.S. and allied forces who have been protecting the Kurds in northern Iraq. ABC News has learned that all the forces currently deployed in northern Iraq will leave there by the middle of next month. But under pressure from Great Britain, which believes this will leave the Kurds altogether too exposed, some of the troops will not be going far. At the Pentagon tonight, ABC's Bob Zelnick.
Pentagon sources tell ABC News that after Allied troops have completed their withdrawal from northern Iraq by July 15th, a few thousand U.S., British, French, and Italian troops will stay on the Turkish side of the border. They will be based at the town of Silopi, with air support provided from the NATO base at Incirlik. The hope is their presence will deter Saddam Hussein from renewing military action against the Kurds. But it has not yet been determined how long the troops will remain, who will command them, and under what circumstances they might use force.
The mission has to be very clear and specific. The last thing we want is confusion. That's the trouble we got into in Lebanon.
Diplomatic sources say the idea for the force originated with the British, who fear a harsh crackdown by Saddam Hussein once Allied troops are out of Iraq. Sources say the Bush administration initially opposed the idea, fearing American troops could be drawn into renewed fighting with insufficient forces. U.S. officials changed their mind after the Allies publicly argued against leaving the Kurds unprotected. As with the establishment of safe havens in northern Iraq, the U.S. appears to have been pushed, prodded, and outmaneuvered by Allies, finally agreeing to an indefinite military presence in Turkey because it would have seemed insensitive not to. Bob Zelnick, ABC News at the Pentagon.
Soon be replaced. Defense Secretary Dick Cheney is to decide next week on the Navy's request to buy a new generation of electronic devices called jammers. They help a pilot avoid electronic detection. The problem is the new jammers cost more and may not work as well. Here's ABC's John Martin.
When these pilots left their carrier and headed into Iraqi airspace during the war, they were protected from enemy missiles by an electronic jammer. The device sent out false signals. Time after time, Iraqi gunners fired at an electronic mirage. Now, the Navy wants new, more compact jammers. The newest version, the Airborne Self-Protection Jammer, is no bigger than a big briefcase, but it costs $3 million each. The problem is that it may not work. It did so poorly in early tests, the Air Force decided not to buy any. Then the jammer failed in combat simulations. Even so, the Navy has scheduled 120 jammers for production, despite warnings by the General Accounting Office and the Pentagon Inspector General.
Our position is clearly that they should not go forward at this time. What they need to do is delay this decision that's coming up this coming week.
Defense Department, IG, recommended against it. The GAO recommended against it. Congress recommended against it. Still, the Navy went right ahead.
The draft of a new Pentagon inspection report obtained by ABC News warns against signing final contracts until the device is properly tested, but the Navy doesn't want to stop production.
It's going to cost us more money to reopen that production line than it would be if we just kept the production line open and bought this next lot.
But analysts worry that approving production on a $3 billion contract now will make it impossible to cancel later, even if it doesn't work. John Martin, ABC News, Washington.